It's funny how someone can ignore you for so long, and the moment you finally stop caring, they come back. Not when you were trying, not when you were giving everything, not when you stayed up late just to talk to them. No, they come back when you're already learning how to live without them. My name is Amara, and this isn't a story about love that worked out. This is about timing. The kind of timing that feels almost cruel. Because when I wanted him, he barely noticed me. But the moment I started pulling away, he started paying attention. At first, I didn't even realize it was happening, because I had already gotten used to being the one who cared more, the one who texted first, the one who waited, the one who tried. And him? He was always just there, close enough to keep me around, but never close enough to make me feel chosen. It was confusing, because some days he would act like I mattered. He would call, stay longer, talk like nothing was wrong. And for a moment, I would feel it again. That hope, that feeling, that maybe things were changing. But it never lasted, because the next day, he would go right back to being distant, cold, unavailable. And somehow, I kept accepting it. I kept telling myself he just needed time. That maybe, if I stayed patient, if I stayed understanding, he would finally see me, finally choose me. But the truth is, he already saw me. He just didn't value me enough to show it. And deep down, I knew that. I just didn't want to accept it. Because accepting it meant letting go. And I wasn't ready for that yet. So I stayed. Even when it hurt. Even when it felt one-sided. Even when I started losing parts of myself, just trying to hold on to him. Until one day, something in me shifted. Not suddenly, not dramatically, just quietly, like a switch I didn't even realize had been building up. I stopped checking my phone every few minutes. I stopped rereading old messages. I stopped waiting. And for the first time in a long time, I chose silence. Not to make a point. Not to play games, but because I was tired of caring more than I was being cared for. And I didn't know it yet, but that was the moment everything started to change. At first, nothing happened. No sudden message, no calls, no change, just silence. The same silence I used to be afraid of. But this time, it felt different. Not heavy, not painful, just quiet. And for once, I didn't try to fill it. I didn't reach out. I didn't check if he was online. I didn't reread old conversations, looking for meaning. I just let it be. Days passed, then more days. And slowly, I started getting used to it. Waking up without thinking about him first. Going through my day without waiting for his name to pop up. Sleeping without holding my phone in my hand. It felt strange at first. Almost wrong. Like I was forgetting something important. But I wasn't. I was just letting go. Piece by piece. Without forcing it. Without even realizing it. And then, he noticed. Not immediately. Not in some dramatic way. But in small things. The kind of things I used to do without thinking. The messages that stopped. The attention that disappeared. The effort that was no longer there. And suddenly, the silence I had accepted became loud to him. I remember the first message. Simple. Hey, you've been quiet. I stared at it for a while. Not because I didn't know what to say, but because for the first time, I didn't feel the need to say anything at all. Before, I would have replied instantly, explained myself, tried to keep the conversation going. But now, I just looked at it and put my phone down, not to play games, not to get a reaction, but because I genuinely didn't have the energy anymore. And that's when it started. The shift. The same way I used to notice. When he pulled away, he started noticing that I wasn't there anymore. He texted again. This time, a little more. Is everything okay? Did I do something? And for a moment, I almost went back. Almost replied the way I used to. Soft, available, still hoping. But something in me stopped it, because I realized he wasn't confused when I was trying. He wasn't asking questions when I was giving everything. He only noticed when I stopped. And that changed something in me, because it made me see things more clearly than before. It was never about him not understanding. It was about him not caring enough until it affected him. And for the first time, I didn't feel the urge to fix it. I didn't feel responsible for the distance anymore. I just watched him try in the same quiet way I used to. Watched him reach out a little more each time. And slowly, the roles started to change. At first, it was small. Nothing too obvious. Just more messages, more questions, more effort than before. Hey, what are you doing? Did you get home safe? Why are you so quiet lately? Things he never used to ask. Things I used to wish for. And now, he was the one saying them. I should have felt happy. I should have felt relieved. Because this was what I wanted. Right? His attention, his effort, his time. But I didn't. Not the way I thought I would. Because something in me had already changed. I wasn't waiting anymore. I wasn't hoping anymore. I wasn't checking my phone every few minutes just to see if he texted. So when his messages came in, I saw them, but I didn't feel them. Not the same way. I would reply. Sometimes short, simple, no extra energy, no trying to keep the conversation alive. And I could feel it, the confusion on his side, the same confusion I used to carry. Why was I different? Why wasn't I reacting? Why wasn't I trying? And the truth was, I didn't even have an answer for him, because I didn't plan it. I didn't wake up one day and decide to stop caring. It just happened. Quietly, the same way his distance had happened before. But now, he was trying, calling more, staying longer, actually listening. And it almost felt strange, hearing him care, because I remembered how many times I needed that, how many nights I wished he would just notice. And now that he did, it didn't fix anything. It didn't bring back what I had already lost, because the version of me that needed him that way wasn't there anymore. I remember one night, he called, not like before, not short, not distracted. He stayed, talked, tried, and for a moment, it felt like things were going back. Like maybe this was what I had been waiting for. But something felt off. Not with him, with me, because I wasn't excited. I wasn't smiling to myself. I wasn't holding on to every word. I was just there, listening, present, but not attached. And that scared me. Not because I was losing him, but because I realized I already had, just not in the way I expected. Because this time, I wasn't the one being left behind. I was the one who had already let go. And the hardest part? He was finally becoming the person I needed before. At the exact moment, I no longer needed him at all. I think that was the moment everything became clear. Not when he started trying, not when he started calling more, but when I realized it didn't change how I felt anymore. Because before, his attention meant everything. One message could make my whole day. One call could fix everything I was feeling. But now, it just felt like something that came too late. And I didn't know what to do with that. Because a part of me still cared, still remembered how much I wanted this, still recognized the effort he was finally giving. But another part of me, the part that had been hurt for so long, was already done, quietly, without asking for permission, without making an announcement. It had already let go. And that's what made it so confusing. Because on the outside, everything looked like it was getting better. He was present. He was trying. He was finally showing up. But on the inside, I felt nothing. No excitement. No butterflies. No urge to hold on to it. Just calm and a little sadness. Not because I was losing him, but because I realized what we had was already gone. I remember the night he said it, not dramatically, not in some big emotional way, just casually. I miss you. And for a second, everything went quiet, because those were the words I had been waiting for, the words I used to imagine hearing, the words that used to mean so much. But now, they didn't land the same. They didn't fix anything. They didn't bring back what I had already lost. And that's when I understood something I couldn't ignore anymore. Love doesn't come back just because someone decides to try. It doesn't rebuild itself just because the timing finally works. Because feelings don't wait forever. They change. They fade. They move on, just like people do. And mine already had. So when he tried to get closer, I didn't move toward him. I didn't pull away either. I just stayed where I was. And for the first time, I wasn't the one hoping anymore. He was, and I could see it. In the way he spoke. In the way he stayed longer. In the way he tried to bring back something that had already slipped away. But I couldn't go back. Not because I didn't care at all, but because I had already learned how to live without him. And once you learn that, something changes. Something you can't undo. So I didn't argue. I didn't explain. I didn't try to fix it. I just accepted it. Accepted that sometimes people come back at the wrong time. And no matter how much you once wanted them, you can't force yourself to feel the same again. I didn't leave in a dramatic way. No long message. No final speech. No moment where I tried to explain everything I was feeling. Because by then, there was nothing left to explain. Not to him. Not even to myself. I think that's what surprised me the most. How something that once felt so intense, so important, could become so quiet, so simple, so done. He kept trying. Not in a loud way. Not in a way that demanded attention. But in small things. Consistent things. The kind of things I used to beg for. And I saw it. I noticed every effort, every message, every moment he tried to show me that he was finally there. But it didn't pull me back. It didn't restart anything. Because by the time he became consistent, I had already become okay without him. And that changed everything. Because when you finally learn how to be at peace on your own, you stop holding on to people who once made you feel incomplete. Even if you still care. Even if you still remember what it used to be. Even if a part of you wishes things had happened differently. I remember the last time we spoke. There was no tension, no anger, no pain in my voice. Just calm. He asked if we could try again. Not directly, but in the way he spoke. In the way he stayed on the call a little longer than usual. In the way he didn't want to hang up. And for a moment, I felt it. That small pull. That memory of what we used to be. But it passed. Because I knew something I didn't know before. Love isn't just about how much you feel. It's about when it's given. How it's given. And whether it comes when it's actually needed. And his came too late. So I didn't go back. Not because I hated him. Not because I didn't care at all. But because I had already chosen a version of myself that didn't need him anymore. A version of me that didn't wait. Didn't beg. Didn't stay in something that felt one-sided. And for the first time, that choice felt easy. Not painless, but right. So, no, this isn't a story about getting back together. It's not about second chances. It's about something quieter, something stronger, knowing when to walk away, even when the door finally opens. Because sometimes the hardest truth to accept is this: they didn't lose you when they left. They lost you when they made you feel like you weren't enough. And by the time they realize it, you've already learned how to live without them.